Welcome, miladies of inestimable value. Trust takes years to build, seconds to break, and forever to repair. This isn't just a quote. It's the unspoken anthem of Sigma females, the lone wolves of society who've learned the hard way that not everyone deserves a seat at their table. Here's a fact to chew on. Studies show that humans lie an average of 2 to 3 times during a 10-minute conversation. Now imagine trusting people who statistically can't go a full coffee chat without bending the truth. Sigma females aren't cynical. They're realists armed with razor-sharp instincts and a finely tuned BS detector. They've seen promises crumble, loyalties waver, and smiles morph into daggers the moment they turn their backs. Trust for them isn't just fragile, it's a battlefield. But here's the kicker. While most people blindly hand over trust like free samples at a grocery store, Sigma females keep theirs locked behind a vault. Why? Because they know that trusting the wrong person isn't just risky, it's downright dangerous. And no, they're not about to let anyone play emotional dodgeball with their peace of mind. Number 1, they've witnessed the chaos that blind trust creates. Sigma females don't shy away from hard truths. And one of the harshest they've learned is that blind trust can be a disaster waiting to happen. They've seen what happens when people hand over their faith too easily. Friendships implode, families fracture, businesses collapse, and reputations are destroyed. The fallout is messy, painful, and often permanent. What makes it worse is that most of these catastrophes don't come from strangers. They're orchestrated by the very people who are supposed to have your back. For a Sigma female, these experiences aren't just lessons, they're warnings carved into stone. She knows that blind trust is like leaving the front door open in a bad neighborhood and hoping no one walks in. It's a gamble, and the odds are never in your favor. She's watched others trust without question, only to end up betrayed, exploited, or left to clean up someone else's mess. Every betrayal reinforces her belief that trust isn't something to be handed out freely. It's something to be earned, slowly and deliberately. When she sees people rushing into relationships, friendships, or partnerships with no regard for red flags, it feels like watching someone speed toward a cliff. It's not about paranoia. It's about pattern recognition. She's lived through enough of these disasters, or seen them happen to others, to know the signs, and she's made it her mission to avoid the chaos entirely. For a Sigma female, trust isn't about being cynical. It's about being wise. She doesn't hold on to grudges or live in fear, but she also doesn't gamble with her peace of mind. The stakes are too high, and she's not willing to bet her happiness on someone who hasn't proven themselves worthy. Blind trust? That's a luxury she simply can't afford. Number 2, trust is draining and energy is precious. Trust isn't just a feeling. It's an unspoken agreement that demands attention, energy, and time. For Sigma females who value their mental clarity and personal peace above all else, trust feels like an exhausting full-time job they never signed up for. The emotional investment it takes to constantly question someone's intentions, monitor their actions, and assess their reliability is a drain they refuse to entertain. They've learned that placing trust in the wrong hands often leads to sleepless nights, second-guessing, and a lingering sense of betrayal that's hard to shake off. It's simply not worth the toll. Sigma females are all about efficiency, and babysitting someone else's integrity is the ultimate waste of their energy. If someone needs constant surveillance to ensure they're truthful, dependable, or loyal, that's an immediate red flag. They're not about to play detective or referee in someone else's morality game. Instead, they choose to keep their circle tight, their expectations realistic, and their emotional investments minimal. By remaining self-sufficient, Sigma females eliminate the need to put their well-being in someone else's hands. This independence isn't about shutting people out. It's about knowing when to conserve energy for the things that truly matter. Trust to them is a precious resource, and they're incredibly selective about where it's spent. In a world where loyalty can waver with the slightest pressure, they'd rather bank on themselves than gamble on someone who might crumble under scrutiny. Number 3, the lies people tell themselves are even worse. Sigma females have a keen eye for self-deception, and they find it more unsettling than outright lies. When someone isn't honest with themselves, when they deny their flaws, justify their bad behavior, or bury their insecurities under layers of denial. It's a clear sign that their perception of reality is skewed. To a Sigma female, this kind of internal dishonesty is dangerous. If a person can't take accountability for their own shortcomings, how can they ever be trusted to act with integrity toward others? Self-deception leads to broken promises, misplaced blame, and convenient excuses. Sigma females know that these individuals are walking contradictions, capable of justifying anything to protect their ego. One moment, they'll claim to be trustworthy. The next, they'll twist the narrative to avoid taking responsibility. It's a chaotic pattern that Sigma females refuse to engage with. They don't have the patience to navigate the emotional maze of someone who isn't self-aware. For Sigma females, trust begins with self-accountability. They value people who can own up to their mistakes, confront their biases, and actively work on becoming better. Anything less feels like a ticking time bomb, one misstep away from betrayal, inconsistency, or emotional manipulation. They've seen too many people hide behind their own lies, hurting everyone around them in the process. Trusting someone who lies to themselves feels like building a house on quicksand. No matter how strong the foundation seems, it's bound to crumble under the weight of denial. Sigma females aren't willing to risk their peace of mind on someone who can't even face their own reflection. If a person can't keep it real with themselves, they definitely can't keep it real with a Sigma. Number 4. Trust is a currency, and most people are bankrupt. For a Sigma female, trust is the most valuable currency, and handing it out freely is like tossing gold coins into the wind. It's reckless and wasteful. In their world, trust must be earned through consistent actions, honesty, and loyalty. And none of these things come overnight. Most people, however, operate on the flawed assumption that trust should be automatic, that it's a right rather than a privilege. This clash in values is where the problem lies. Sigma females have no interest in shallow connections or surface-level trust. They're not moved by charm, empty promises, or temporary acts of kindness. What they're looking for is depth, consistency, and a track record that proves someone's integrity over time. Unfortunately, most people lack the patience or character to build that kind of foundation. They want instant access to trust without putting in the work, and when it's denied, they label the Sigma as cold or closed off. But the truth is, she's just protecting her emotional investments. The other issue is self-serving motives. Sigma females often see through people who only want trust for what they can gain. Whether it's access to her insights, her loyalty, or her energy, these individuals show their hand quickly, revealing intentions that are far from genuine. To a Sigma, this is an immediate deal-breaker. Trust to her is a currency too precious to waste on the impatient or the opportunistic. If someone isn't willing to invest time and effort to prove their worth, they don't get access to her inner world. It's not cruelty, it's strategy. In a world full of quick fixes and empty gestures, Sigma females know the value of protecting what truly matters. Number 5. Promises are cheap, but actions are rarely delivered. Sigma females have mastered the art of seeing through empty words because, let's face it, promises are the cheapest currency out there. Anyone can throw around a promise, make sweeping declarations, or swear up and down that they'll deliver. But when it comes to following through, that's where most people stumble. And Sigma females have zero tolerance for that kind of inconsistency. They've learned through experience that talk is easy, effortless, and often meaningless, while actions require effort, commitment, and actual accountability. For a Sigma, trust isn't built on poetic words or grand gestures. It's built on the quiet, consistent follow-through that most people fail to deliver. She's seen the pattern too many times. People overpromise, underdeliver, and then expect forgiveness like it's an automatic reset button. But Sigma females don't play that game. If someone says they'll show up but doesn't, or if they promise change and repeat the same mistakes, that's all the evidence she needs to pull the plug. To her, promises without action are a form of manipulation, a way to buy time, smooth over conflicts, or get what they want without truly earning it. She refuses to be swayed by pretty words or lofty claims because she knows the harsh truth. If someone can't back up their words with action, they're just wasting everyone's time. Trust for a Sigma is earned in the small unspoken moments, showing up when it's inconvenient, following through without being reminded, and doing what you said you'd do without excuses. If someone can't meet that standard, she's not going to waste her energy hoping they'll change. She's seen enough broken promises to know that actions will always speak louder, and she's only interested in listening to those who deliver. Number 6. They've been betrayed by those closest to them. For Sigma females, betrayal doesn't come from strangers. It comes from the people they let into their most sacred spaces. Friends who whispered secrets to others, family members who weaponized vulnerabilities, or partners who broke promises they swore were unbreakable. It's not the kind of hurt that fades with time. It's the kind that sears itself into memory, shaping how they view trust forever. What stings the most is the sheer audacity of it. These are people who should have been their safe haven, the ones who claimed to have their best interests at heart. Yet, when it came down to it, they showed that loyalty was just a convenient word for them, not a principle to live by. For a Sigma, this kind of betrayal isn't just painful, it's disorienting. It forces them to question their own judgment, their ability to read people, and the very concept of trust itself. The result? A hardened resolve. Sigma females learn quickly that trust is a weapon in the wrong hands, and they become surgical in deciding who gets access to it. They don't shut people out entirely, but they do create boundaries so sharp they could cut through steel. Their inner circle becomes nearly impenetrable, and even those who make it through are kept at arm's length until proven otherwise. This isn't bitterness, it's wisdom. When the people closest to you show you that trust can be exploited, you either crumble or adapt. Sigma females adapt. They don't dwell on the pain, but they don't forget the lesson either. Trust, for them, becomes a fortress with walls built from every betrayal they've endured. And if someone wants to enter, they better come prepared to scale those walls with unwavering integrity. Number 7. They value consistency, and most people don't have it. For Sigma females, consistency is the backbone of trust, and without it, there's simply nothing to hold on to. They're not interested in someone who changes their tune depending on the crowd or shifts their priorities when it's convenient. That kind of inconsistency doesn't just make a person unreliable, it makes them untrustworthy. Sigma females have no patience for someone who says one thing and does another, or acts one way with them and a completely different way with others. It's exhausting, disorienting, and frankly disrespectful. To them, inconsistency is a giant red flag that screams, "I can't be counted on." Whether it's a friend who's supportive one day and dismissive the next, a partner who promises commitment but wavers under pressure, or a colleague whose loyalty shifts with the office gossip, these erratic patterns are a recipe for distrust. Sigma females need stability in the people around them. If someone's behavior is as predictable as a coin toss, they'll politely but firmly step away. The problem with inconsistency is that it forces others to constantly guess what's real and what's not. Sigma females refuse to waste their energy decoding someone's shifting motives or wondering where they truly stand. Life's too short to build connections on shaky ground, and Sigma females prefer a solid foundation, one built on actions that match words, values that don't waver, and behavior that doesn't flip depending on the situation. To them, inconsistency is a betrayal waiting to happen, and they've learned not to give second chances when the signs are clear. They don't demand perfection, but they do require honesty and stability. If someone can't offer that, the trust bridge collapses, and there's no rebuilding it. For a Sigma, consistency isn't just preferred, it's non-negotiable. Number 8. Trust often comes with strings attached. To Sigma females, trust isn't a bargaining chip, and they can spot transactional relationships a mile away. When someone dangles trust as part of a you-go-first arrangement, it feels more like an ultimatum than a genuine connection. This conditional type of trust reeks of insecurity, manipulation, or control, all things Sigma females have no patience for. True trust, in their eyes, is freely given and grows organically over time. It's not a negotiation, a strategy, or a trap. The idea that someone would require a trade-off, "I'll trust you if you trust me," makes them suspicious. It signals that the person is less interested in trust as a bond, and more interested in testing boundaries, securing leverage, or protecting their ego. For Sigma females, this approach isn't just unappealing, it's a deal breaker. They've learned that trust tied to conditions is rarely genuine. It often comes with hidden expectations or unspoken rules that can later be used against them. Maybe the person expects loyalty in situations where it's undeserved, or they're setting up a dynamic where they can control the terms of the relationship. Whatever the motive, Sigma females aren't willing to engage in that kind of emotional chess game. Their approach to trust is simple. It's earned, not negotiated. They don't demand blind trust from others, and they expect the same courtesy in return. If someone insists on making trust conditional, it's an instant red flag. Sigma females would rather walk away than entangle themselves in a relationship that feels more like a contract than a connection. Trust to them is too sacred to be reduced to a quid pro quo. Number 9. They know how quickly people flip when the stakes get high. Sigma females have a front row seat to human behavior under pressure, and what they've seen has taught them one undeniable truth. When the stakes get high, people will reveal who they truly are. It's easy to be trustworthy when everything is calm, when life is smooth, and there's no real risk. But as soon as things get difficult, when emotions run high or survival is on the line, that's when the masks come off and the true character of a person is exposed. And more often than not, that character isn't pretty. They've witnessed people flip in the blink of an eye, throwing away years of loyalty and trust without a second thought, just to preserve their own comfort. Friends will stab each other in the back, family members will turn on each other, and partners will toss their morals aside if it means they can save face or protect their reputation. Sigma females have seen it all: the manipulation, the betrayals, the sudden disappearances when people realize they can't win. For them, it's a harsh but valuable lesson. Trust, when handed out blindly, often sets you up for heartache when things inevitably go south. The reality is that stress and desperation strip away the layers of pretense. Sigma females know that when push comes to shove, people will prioritize their own well-being, and they'll do it at any cost, even if that means betraying someone they once claimed to care about. That's why they don't rush into trust, and that's why they don't give people the benefit of the doubt. They've learned the hard way that blind trust is reckless when they've watched the way people twist under pressure. To a Sigma, trust isn't a blanket that covers everyone equally. It's a rare commodity, one that is reserved for those who have shown time and time again that they can stand their ground in the face of adversity. Anyone who flips when the heat is on doesn't deserve a place in their circle. And that's why, when the stakes are high, Sigma females trust only those who've earned their respect through consistent character, not just empty words. Number 10. The fine line between support and surveillance. Sigma females are experts at spotting when concern crosses the line into control. There's a fine line between offering support and crossing over into surveillance, and many people blur that line without even realizing it. What some may label as caring, Sigma females see as nosiness wrapped in a shiny, socially acceptable package. It's easy to get swept up in the idea that someone is just trying to help when they're asking an endless series of questions or offering advice at every turn. But Sigma females aren't fooled by that facade. They know the difference between genuine care and someone prying for information they don't really need. People often disguise their need to control as helpfulness, offering unsolicited advice, pushing for too many details, or checking in more than necessary under the guise of just wanting to make sure you're okay. It all sounds good in theory, but for a Sigma, it's a red flag. They've seen how this kind of behavior can quickly spiral into micromanagement, where people become more interested in managing your choices than respecting your autonomy. This is when concern stops being about the other person's well-being and starts being about maintaining control over what you do, say, and think. Sigma females have learned the hard way that sharing too much can lead to people thinking they're entitled to pry into every corner of their lives. What might start as an innocent conversation can quickly turn into an interrogation, with every move being scrutinized or judged. They've seen how the well-meaning support can morph into gossip when others start discussing things they have no business discussing, or how even the most innocuous advice can turn into a subtle criticism. For them, keeping things close to the chest is often the safest way to avoid getting entangled in someone else's need to control. Trust, for a Sigma, is about respect for boundaries, not about giving people the opportunity to cross them under the guise of helping. They've learned that the more you share, the more some people feel entitled to manage your life, and that's a game Sigma females refuse to play. In the world of Sigma females, trust isn't a transaction or a given. It's a sacred bond that's earned and tested over time. They've seen the cracks in human nature, felt the sting of betrayal, and witnessed the flip-flops of those who can't keep their word. Their experiences have shaped a powerful understanding. Trust must be protected like a treasure, because once it's broken, it's almost impossible to rebuild. For a Sigma, trust is not something to hand out freely or to bargain for in return. It's something that's carefully guarded, built on consistency, actions, and an unwavering sense of integrity. They don't settle for shallow connections or transactional relationships, and they won't bend to the expectations of others who demand trust without proving their worth. So, to anyone hoping to earn a Sigma's trust, know this. It's not about grand gestures or endless promises. It's about showing up consistently, acting with integrity, and proving, day in and day out, that you're someone who deserves the privilege of their trust. And when they do decide to trust, it's not just a gift. It's a rare, precious bond that's worth every moment of the wait. But if you break it, don't expect a second chance. Trust isn't easily rebuilt in their world, and once it's lost, it stays lost. That's the reality Sigma females live by, and it's a principle they'll never compromise on. If you found yourself captivated by the raw honesty and unapologetic wisdom of the Sigma female, then don't miss out on more content that cuts straight to the heart of what truly matters. Hit that subscribe button and join a community that values depth, authenticity, and real talk. Trust me, you won't want to miss the next chapter in this journey. Subscribe now, and let's keep unraveling the world of Sigma with no filters, no nonsense, just the truth. You're not just a viewer, you're part of something extraordinary. Let's keep pushing boundaries together. Thanks for watching, my ladies. See you in the next video. Bye for now, and God bless.